so bummed. I don't remember everybody's name anyway, and we already know that. So it was.
Give me details.
It was.
Wait, you know what, Steve? You know what time it is. Guess what Andy's thinking. Steve, give me the game show music while Andy's talking. In 3, 2, 1.
You're not going to get it because it's the U of A. It's a college basketball game. And did
he play in the pros or his college?
He didn't play. College? He played. He went to Ockham and he went 180, turned his back. They were chasing him down. He was a little bit more open. They were coming after him. They couldn't get the ball away. He went 180, back to his head back to the basket, and dunked behind his head in the game in a college game.
I wish I saw this, but I am not college knowledgeable.
This game, that dunk was, and it doesn't get airplay. It's not one of those most dunks that, like, even at the U of A that they play this over. I think it was Kenny. I don't know. I'm going to look it up. That dunk was amazing to me, but if I don't have a name for you, you can't even look it up. So I apologize.
Okay. Steve, at one point when Andy says, you're not going to get it, just give me a let down.
You want an or a whoop whoop whoop?
Both. Give me a and a whoop whoop whoop, and then just go back into our conversation as though I didn't just tell you to do this. So now getting back into our conversation in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here's my top 5 dunkers: Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Vince Carter, Shawn Kemp. I want to say Kobe, but do I? And LeBron never. Dr. J. I was going to say LeBron, but the fact that LeBron never did the dunk contest, I can't give him that.
You put Kemp in there, but here's my thing. Kemp wasn't. It was as all power. It wasn't artistic. It wasn't.
No, but listen, it ain't got to be all. Jordan was artistic and a little bit of power, but more artistic.
So then, by that theory, you leave Shaq out of that.
But Shaq was just straight
tear
muscle,
down a rim,
muscle,
break rims.
But I think you have to have some flair too, though.
Okay,
that's what makes it sexy.
No, listen. When I say Kemp it wasn't all. He brought the ball. He did vicious. The rock. He did the rock. We brought the ball all the way back and then brought it through. I'm not saying he didn't have that, but there's Vince Carter. There was a flair to Vince Carter's.
Man, when he jumped over the 7-footer in the Olympics, when he had hair, Vince Carter with hair was atrocious. Bald nigga.
His game was better then, though.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You agree with that 5?
I'm not disagreeing with that 5. I just think there's a couple, like, do you leave Kemp in, put in Shaq, or do you leave?
Shaq was just power. It was vicious. An 18-wheeler smashing through a trailer home. But there was Dr. J, with the cradle rock and the afro and the dunking over motherfuckers one hand. You know what I mean? Yeah. You gotta have some beauty to it too.
No, I'm not disagreeing with any of the people you just said. I just I'll go with you. I'll go with your list. I'm not gonna fight you on the list.
Dominique was so,
Well, Dominique beat Jordan that year in the dunk contest when they did it in Chicago.
Flat top perm Dominique.
He beat Jordan that year.
Right.
He really. I really think if it was a tie went to the home team.
Right. That year he beat Jordan. I thought that was in Chicago though.
It was in Chicago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He didn't beat him. He lost to him.
Okay, right. Because that's where Jordan did the free throw line dunk.
And he got. But Dominique's dunks. I mean, that was. Yeah, and Jordan stepped over the free throw line. Let's be honest.
A little bit. Okay, a little bit.
I have Jordan's my favorite player, but at the moment, right. I was Jordan deserved that. Looking back over years with a little age on it and being honest, I think Dominique won that one.
Okay. I thought it was interesting to me when Norm Nixon said great player, because it was about Jerry West refusing to want to be the coach, because he said, I just it wouldn't be fair to the players. I would be so vicious on them because they couldn't do what I want them to do. And Norm said, great players don't always make great coaches. They tend to want you to play as they did. Everybody doesn't understand the game. Everybody doesn't have the same work ethic. Work ethic, I get that boils down to laziness versus not lazy. But I would think everybody would, if you're playing basketball and you're playing the game, I would think that everybody's basketball IQ would, I know it's not, but I would think that if you're in the game and this is what you do for a living, how do you not know the game? How can your basketball IQ not be sharp?
I think everybody has to have some basketball IQ, but not only, it's not just the IQ, it's the demand that you put on yourself. That like Kobe, like very few people, like Kobe would not, Kobe, I think could coach, but I don't think he could coach NBA players because I think he would want them to, like why he didn't get along with Shaq was that same reason.
But again, that boils down to the physical.
Yeah.
How hard you work, lazy versus not lazy.
Yes.
I'm strictly talking about when they would talk about Magic's IQ,
Yeah.
Jordan's IQ, LeBron's IQ, Larry's IQ. They see and know the game from a mental standpoint and visually that some guys don't. And that's amazing to me that you're a basketball player and you can't see that.
Well, I think if you take it into what you're saying, if I'm understanding you correctly, look at Magic. Magic, they would always say, well, he's 6'8", 6'9", he can see the floor better than everybody else.
Right.
He didn't have eyes in the back of his head. He just knew where everybody was and was supposed to be.
But in that IQ?
Yeah, that's IQ. But not everybody has that same thing.
That's amazing to me. That you're in the game of basketball and as physically gifted as you can be, that's a different thing. That mental shit, that's totally different from physical.
But it is different, but it's also like a quarterback in the NFL. They know where to throw the ball for each guy. Each guy runs the route a little bit different. I mean, they're supposed to run it exactly the same and you're going to get the ball there. But
Right.
some of the guys, they know this guy's going to do this or he's a little bit faster, so I need to put it there.
Right.
That's that IQ where you have the ability to see the play before it
Right.
happens. And most people, I don't care if they're in the NBA, most people can't see the play breaking down before it happens.
Right. Yeah. That's an amazing gift. And I think in certain aspects, and like it would make more sense to me comedically because again, like there are some guys who are funny, but in terms of vision, instinct, gut, knowing certain things, reading a room, it's kind of the same thing.
It is.
So I should be able to understand it. But again, I'm not an athlete. So I as much as I can watch the sport, I truly don't understand because
But even in comedy relation too, there's some comics that can write a great joke and then someone else go, don't use that word, use this word.
Yes.
And it changes the whole joke.
Yes.
And 1,000 other people could have looked at the same joke and never said that, but that
Right,
one comic
right,
can just go,
right.
Try this word instead of
Right.
that word, and it changes everything.
Yes. Again, this is why I love this doc because it totally showed some things that weren't in Winning Time. One of the scariest things to me about business is like no matter how successful someone is in business, obviously they know some things, but there's no guarantees. Nobody's 100% right. But if the more successful you are, obviously there's some validity to some of the things they say. But this one guy, Scott Werblin, chairman of Madison Square Garden, and this is when the NBA was struggling to really find its popularity and its legs, said there should be 16 teams in the NBA. There should only be 16 teams. And he spoke it like it was gospel. I'll tell you what the problem is. There should only be 16 teams. Cut to, now we have 29 teams, and it's bigger than it's ever been. You want to go, this guy got on a suit, he got on a tie, he's in business, he has an important position. How could he not know what the fuck he was talking about? But he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
He might have known a little bit about what he was talking about, though, because at the time, the population of the country was different. Cities were different. How you got to the cities, who was willing to have a fandom that would support a team.
Right.
That might have been different at the time that he's saying than today.